When I was 3 years old, almost 4, I had a ruptured appendix. I had appendicitis. Doctors misdiagnosed it. They didn't catch it for about 5 days, and then when the doctors finally figured out what was going on, I went into emergency surgery, and during that first surgery, that's when I had my near-death experience where I remember lifting out of my body. I looked down, I saw the doctors, they were working on me. My mom, I saw her in one room. She was like on the phone talking with people, praying. My dad, he was in another room and he was praying very loudly at God. And at the moment, I was freaking out. I had no idea what was going on. Then I was sitting on Jesus's lap. And then after that, Jesus had one of the angels fly me to heaven. When I went to heaven, I met a lot of different people. So in heaven, I remember seeing people, animals, angels, grass, trees, water, skies. There's food in heaven. But I also remember meeting people in heaven.
When I was just a little boy, barely 3 years old, something happened to me that would not only alter the course of my own life, but touch the hearts of millions around the world. What I experienced wasn't just a dream or a vision. It was something deeper, more vivid, and absolutely unforgettable. I nearly died. But what happened in that terrifying moment has continued to echo through every chapter of my life. Before we go any further into this story of life, death, and a miraculous glimpse of what's beyond, I want to pause for a moment. If you're new here or haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. We share true stories of faith, miracles, and hope, and this one is no exception. Now, let's step back into that moment when everything changed. I was almost 4 years old when my appendix burst. At first, the doctors didn't catch it. For 5 long days, my condition went undiagnosed, and in that time, my little body was growing weaker, more infected, and dangerously close to shutting down. By the time they realized what was going on, I was rushed into emergency surgery, and that's when it happened. I remember floating up, out of my body. I looked down and saw the operating table. I saw the doctors working desperately to save me, but I wasn't afraid. I was watching everything from above, as if I was simply observing it all unfold. Then I saw my mum in a nearby room. She was talking on the phone, praying through her tears. My dad was somewhere else in the hospital, crying out to God. I could hear him, loud and desperate, as he pleaded with the Lord not to take me. The next thing I knew, I wasn't in the hospital anymore. Suddenly, I found myself sitting on someone's lap. It was Jesus. He looked at me with so much love that all the fear I had melted away. He knew I was scared, and to comfort me, he had angels sing to me. Their voices were like nothing I had ever heard before. Soft, beautiful, full of peace. Jesus then told the angel beside him to take me somewhere. And just like that, I was flying, soaring high above with an angel guiding me to a place more breathtaking than words can describe. I was being taken to heaven. Heaven was unlike anything I'd ever seen. The colors were more vibrant. The air felt alive. There was music everywhere, even in the silence. I saw animals, trees, rivers, grass, and skies more beautiful than any place on earth. But the most amazing part? The people. Everyone was full of joy. There was no sadness, no pain. It was like being home, but not any home I had ever known. This was perfect, eternal. And then something unexpected happened. As I stood on a golden road near the entrance of heaven, a little girl came running toward me. She hugged me tight, and I couldn't figure out who she was. I was just a kid. I didn't like hugs, especially not from girls, but she didn't let go. Then she told me. She said she was my sister. I didn't understand at first. But later, when I came back and told my parents, My mum broke down crying. She knew exactly who I had seen, because years before I was born, she had lost a baby through miscarriage. They never told me. How could I have known? And yet, there I was, hugged by the sister I never met in life, but would never forget again. As I began to heal after the surgery, I started talking, and the things I said stunned my parents. Not just about my sister, but about heaven, about the colors, the people, even Jesus himself. My dad, who's a pastor, tested me with questions like, "Where did you sleep in heaven?" I told him, "It doesn't get dark in heaven. There's no night, just light, everywhere." That stopped him cold. He began to realize that what I was describing, simple, innocent, childlike details, matched up with scripture. And I couldn't have possibly known those things at that age. I wasn't old enough to read the Bible, let alone memorize descriptions of heaven. But somehow, I knew. As I got older, the story spread, first in our community, then across the country. Eventually, the book Heaven is for Real was written. Later, the movie came out, and I became known not just as Colton, but as the boy who went to heaven. And let me be honest, it was a lot to carry as a kid. At 14, I had people writing books, mocking me. There were rumors, false stories, even confusion with other families who made things up. And through it all, I had to figure out who I was, not just as the boy from the story, but as a young man trying to grow in faith. I struggled. I wrestled with pride. I wrestled with doubts. I faced temptation. I wasn't perfect. I'm still not. But God was faithful. Now, I'm 25 years old. I'm married. I'm a new dad. I work as an electrician in Colorado, a completely different path than I expected. But God continues to guide my steps. People still ask how my trip to heaven shaped me, and I tell them, it laid the foundation of my faith. I know what I saw. I know who I met. I know Jesus is real, not because someone told me, but because I was there with him. But even with that, I've had to grow just like anyone else. I've had to study the Bible, wrestle with life's hard questions, and keep trusting God even when things don't make sense. This question comes up a lot. Am I afraid of dying? Not really. But that doesn't mean I have a death wish. I've got a wife, a child, a life full of things that matter. I want to be here and live the life God's given me. I want to be a godly husband, a loving father, and someone who points others to Jesus. But I'm not afraid of what comes next, because I've already seen it. People sometimes assume that I must miss heaven every day, that I want to go back. And yes, part of me does, because when you've experienced perfection, when you've been in the presence of God with no pain, no fear, no sin, it's hard to come back to a broken world. But I didn't choose to leave. Jesus looked me in the eyes and told me, "Colton, I'm sending you back because I'm answering your dad's prayer. That's why I'm here." And I know now that God had a purpose, that my story might help someone else believe, that it might bring hope to a parent grieving a lost child, that it might open someone's heart to the truth that heaven is not a fairy tale. It's real, and it's waiting. If you're struggling right now, if you're wondering where God is in the middle of your pain, I want you to know this. He sees you. He knows your name. He loves you more than you could possibly understand, and he wants a relationship with you. Whether you're a Christian or not, I encourage you to pray honestly. Just say, "God, if you're real, show me. Reveal yourself to me." And I believe he will, because he's not hiding. He's waiting. Every day, I wake up and thank God for for another chance to live, another opportunity to love, to grow, to share. Life is hard. None of us are perfect, but God has never stopped being good. My story isn't about fame, or a book, or a movie. It's about a little boy who met Jesus and came back to tell the world that heaven is real, and so is hope. And that same hope, it's here for you too. So keep going, keep believing, and never forget, you are deeply loved by the one who created you. Heaven is for real, and so is your purpose here on earth.